Okay, we're live.
Wonderful. Welcome to the show, Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Sergey Leo Shealy-Sorin. Dr. Shealy is actually, well, he's at home. He's taking care of his health and a few other things. So he had an appointment today, so he couldn't make it to the radio, unfortunately. But we do have a wonderful and amazing,
I'm no Dr. Shealy, but I have some things to share.
Rachel has been there on the show with us before. She's got a lot to say. Just a few words about you, just so that we know who we're talking with.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Caught me off guard. So I am a certified health coach, and
Yeah.
I have done all kinds of things health and fitness wise. And I'm currently working on finishing up my doctorate in integrative healthcare with an emphasis in clinical nutrition.
And
So that's where we're at.
and you're one of the people who's actually heading our coaching program
Yes.
with wellness and holistic health. So we have a wonderful show for you today. The conversation is going to revolve around something very important: energy. We're talking about energy for the cell, energy of mental, emotional, energy of the entire being, and how you can get the energy, what you can do with the energy, and what works, what doesn't. A lot of people are using a lot of silly things to survive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So, and today's focus is about 2 easy steps to get more energy, but we should talk first about what do people do when they don't have energy? What's the go-to? Because we see some things that maybe are not the healthiest.
Exactly. I'm not saying 1 cup of coffee is bad. I mean, but 10 cups or 5 cups is not really great. Those energy drinks that you get from grocery stores or what do you call that?
Oh, the convenience stores.
Convenience stores,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Words are wonderful when they work. Look at the ingredients, folks. I mean, it's yes, you get energy and then you crash. There's a reason for that. Is it good for your system? Absolutely not.
Right. And I have worked with clients that, we start looking at their fatigue, they have no energy, and then we go through their day. And one of the things is 6 to 10 cups of coffee a day that they are, it's such a vicious cycle because you have no energy, you drink the coffee. Well, the way your body truly gets energy is through calories. Well, the calorie content of coffee is pretty nil. So you get what I call false energy. It's raising the heart rate. It's doing all the
You're
things.
burning the resources that you got.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then you crash, and then you go back on it again, and then you crash. And I see that a lot too with people that their blood sugar is dysregulated. And sometimes that's the caffeine because they're trying to prop themselves up with that source of energy. Well, it's not a good source of energy.
It's interesting. I've noticed not to judge people though, because this
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
here's the thing: when a person smokes, drinks, or let's say uses lots of coffee or lots of energy drinks, they're doing what they need to do to get through the day.
They're in survival mode,
They're in survival
and there is
mode.
no judgment. It's more
There is no
of,
judgment. Yep.
if you don't feel good and you come to us, we want to figure out where we can start helping.
And that goes
Yeah.
back to the root cause. And let's start with talking about energy all around. And I know you got a lot of things that you want to share.
You're fine. Yeah.
But let's start with the basic. The human body. When we look in the mirror, we see, say, a singular organism. I see Sergey Leo,
I see Rachel. Sure.
Robin. You see yourself, right? Okay. So most of the time, okay. Well, it's better to be Batman,
Barring
right?
any poltergeist or.
Okay, let's not
kidding.
go there.
It's a
Although,
joke.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a joke. Yeah.
I want to be
or
Batman too.
Yeah.
We're made of trillions of cells. That's the basic unit of energy. If those cells are not functioning, if those cells are not working well, it's like driving a car on no fuel. I mean, you won't get very far. I mean, if you have fumes, you can make it a small distance, but it's not good for the engine. It's not good for anything.
Well, and those cells need nutrients. They need macronutrients. So that's your protein, your fat, your carbs. But a lot of people that are running around with no energy are missing micronutrients. And so your cell has to have the micronutrients in order to take that energy from the food and convert it into ATP and make it something useful.
And we always talk about the supplements, things that people take. You should take. I'm not saying you have to take it, but you should take it if you want to be healthy and productive, functional.
So if you think about, this is a good, I'm going to try to make an analogy and make it make sense,
Please.
But kind of with the nutrients and the supplements. So a lot of people are running around with nutrient deficiencies and they're not aware of that. And it's like a slow drip. So if you have a big giant water tank hooked up to a pipe that you turn the faucet on and get water from. If that water on the other side never gets replenished, when you turn the faucet on, most of the time it works. It's great. There's water there until one day there's not. Right.
Yeah.
So it's really important to make sure you're replenishing all those micronutrients.
And Dr. Shealy, when he started the wellness and holism, he brought the concept of supplements into the picture. And a lot of people ask me, well, why do I need to take supplements? It's pills. It looks like pills, right? I mean, it looks just like your heart pills, your sugar pills, but it's different.
It is different.
Yeah.
It is a substance that your body has to have in order to survive.
As opposed to something that we weren't born with a deficiency of.
Right. I mean, if we don't get it through our food, we have to find it somewhere else. We have to have it.
Reminds me of a wonderful quote. Let food be thy medicine.
And medicine be thy food.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Let's go back, and you started talking about an absolutely amazing topic. Let's talk about the micronutrients, because we are missing it. The soil is missing it. The food is missing it. Our society is literally delinquent on what makes a human being work. And then we wonder why we have people in the 20s and 30s, and especially, but by the time you're 40 or 50, you're supposed to have medical problems, right? You're supposed to have diabetes, cholesterol. If you don't see it in the emergency room, for example, in my clinic, it's different because we work with people in a truly preventive manner, spirit, soul, mind, body. But in the emergency room, if I see a person who doesn't have any medical problems, let's say they're beyond their teens, everybody's scratching their head. No, that's not possible. You got to have medical problems.
Yeah, it's wild that has become the standard. Right, because we are so depleted.
So abnormal has become normal.
Yes,
and
correct.
Normal has gone away. So I don't think I like that.
No, so we mitigate things, right? And one of the things we can do, because we know unless you're growing your own garden, making all of your own food, raising all of your own animals, which if you are, amazing. I have the utmost respect for you, because we've been trying to do that. I would not say successfully. It's a whole nother science. Yeah, we have a little farm.
You have a farm.
Yeah. So if you're not doing that, then you do need to supplement, because you're not getting everything you need in your food. And there are definitely specific groups of people as well that tend to have more deficiencies than other with certain micronutrients. Yeah. So if we were to look at B12, so that's one that people, if they don't have a lot of energy, they tend to be deficient in. So that can be, if you're feeling fatigue, you might think about where you're getting your B12 from. We know vegans, because B12 is only available in animal products. So that's a group that is often short on that nutrient. Elderly people, because their digestion is not as strong, and B12 requires a lot of resources to be digested. And then people that have any kind of gut issues, so small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or some kind of gut inflammation, are probably not absorbing or getting B12.
The other thing I'm going to say, and this is a very wide problem in the society in general, how many people out there are on proton pump inhibitors, some kind of acid suppressors for the stomach? You can raise your hand. I won't be able to see it. But what does it do? This is the problem with the medicine. Yes, it helps you feel better with the stomach. And yes, if there's an emergency, if there's a bleeding ulcer, you got to do something. Again, in the emergency room, it's a very different story. I do whatever I got to do. That and a kitchen sink. I mean, that's just what it is. Once you stabilize, different story. If you're having chronic reflux, stomach problems, and you're taking something like the Protonics or Pepsid or anything of that nature, you literally are suppressing the acid. You suppress the acid, you cannot make use, you cannot digest or break down the protein. That's the basic functional unit of the muscles, basically enzymes, things that make things work. And then moving on down there, and again, it's again a long story, but you won't be able to break down fats, which means most of the hormones and so on and so forth. So you could be having a really good diet or not, but you might not be getting the benefit out of it.
Right. So you're eating, but your body's not breaking down and digesting. And, that's the whole, you need to be able to break everything down to a small enough molecule that your enzymes can do something with that, which enzymes break things down and they put things back together. So we need that stomach acid to help everything get digested correctly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people ask me about B12. And that's very important. Anything else you want to say about B12?
I just mainly that it is an essential nutrient, but it is also like the whole thing with the drip. If you don't get it, so I don't want to say a lot, but I do see
Frequently.
sometimes. Okay, sure.
In my world,
Yes,
frequently.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Vegans, vegetarians, they come
Yes.
in, they say, I was this way for 5 years, 10 years. I felt great. And then one day,
Boom.
everything falls
Drop
apart.
off the cliff.
Yeah. And then the water doesn't come out of the faucet anymore.
Ran out.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So if people choose to do that kind of a diet, because I understand there are other moral, ethical reasons, then they really need to be on par with making sure they are supplementing correctly.
And the other thing I'm going to add with B12 is if you're not sure, you may want to get tested for MTHFR. Mutation defect. It's a genetic defect that if you cannot methylate properly, you cannot make use of many supplements.
That's true. So
including
B9
B12. So for example, I take methyl B12. I didn't do the test again, but I just, I'm just going to take methyl B12.
Sure,
That's all.
because your body can use
I know my body
source.
can use that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the other things.
Okay, so since we're very focused on energy, I put a couple more in there because magnesium deficiency is another one. And pretty much 9 out of 10 people you talk to are going to be magnesium deficient. And magnesium is this essential mineral. I know, so they used to say it was needed for over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, but if you
350 from what I heard.
Well, if you do a little more research, it's about 800 now. So we know, I mean, they're always learning and finding out new things, but we know clearly that magnesium is an essential nutrient. Yes. We need it for the enzymes so the enzymes can do their job. And the other thing is we need it for your mitochondria because they use that to generate ATP. And I keep saying ATP, and in case you don't know, that's adenosine triphosphate. And that's basically what happens is when your body breaks off a phosphate, it creates energy for you. So that's why we need food to create that, to create energy. Yeah.
And that's how it goes. The other thing about magnesium, and this is where people get confused, including my colleagues, including in the emergency room. This is a very frequent topic of explanation that I have to, go through. Magnesium is an intracellular, inside the cell, which means if you measure the blood levels and they're fine or normal, in other words, perfect check or bill of health, so to speak, wrong.
Yeah, not a good
wrong.
indicator.
Absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
If you want to do a proper test,
red blood cell test is what I know, but if there's
you can
something
scrape.
okay.
You got to look at the cells.
Yeah.
Basically, the way Dr. Shealy has been doing it in our office is that, and we don't do this much because people don't want to do this.
Sure.
You scrape a little bit of a mucosal membrane, you send it off. Very expensive, very difficult test, and chances are it's going to come back low.
Yeah.
Because magnesium is deficient. It's deficient in soil. It's deficient in production. Animal farmers know that.
Yeah.
Human food. Food producers choose not to do that.
Right. So you have to, you're getting it. We get it from our plants, and the plants get it from the soil. And if they don't replenish the soil, then we don't get it from the plants.
So magnesium deficiency, and there's over 800. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, that was the latest I looked. You know what? That's probably changed since then.
Show me that, because I wouldn't be surprised if it's over 1,000 now. I mean,
right?
it goes fast. Oh, God. Yeah. So other things. Let's talk about the B complex and the good B complex and multivitamin. Minerals and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's good. So we spent a lot of time on B12, but a lot of the B vitamins work together synergistically. So you need B9 to work with B12. You need B12 to work with B9. So you want to have their B vitamins are really the complex. They're called the energy vitamins, right?
Yep. And then of course don't forget about B1, B2, B3.
Sure.
B6 is a major one. My God, it's literally energy that your body needs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're the B vitamins. The cells use them as cofactors, so they can make the transition from food to energy. So yes, and there are several B1, So we've got all. Yeah.
And the thing is, if you look at the supplement section, let's say I had a recent opportunity to pick up a medicine at a pharmacy, and I walked through the aisle since I was waiting there for about 10 minutes, just to see if anything has changed. Absolutely not. If you look at most of the B complex or multivitamin, the B complex is, it depends. Mm-hmm. It's deficient. You're looking at multivitamin and people think they're getting enough. Wrong. If it doesn't say 25 to 50 milligram of most Bs, you're off. You don't have enough.
And I think people get confused because we have the recommended daily allowances and things like that. But what I like people to keep in mind is those are the minimum dosage that they think you need to keep disease away, not to have optimal health.
If I were to jump in, and this is going to be a little controversial, so I'm going to keep it real short and real simple. Yeah, so keep me in check. We talk about a lot of stuff. We talk about pharmacomafia. We talk about how the food production is literally crap, and we talk about how all these three-letter agencies should be maybe four-letter agencies. I'll stop right there. Bottom line, if you still believe your government, stop now. Stop yesterday. I'll stop with that.
Yeah. So to wrap it back up to the other thing.
Thank you for saving today.
make sure that people get like, but this has too much in it. And one of the things to remember about B vitamins, sorry, it sounded like I said V. B vitamins is that our body's very good. If we have too many, we flush them out. So
and it's been said, expensive.
They're water soluble.
Expensive urine. Now, it's, you know what? If you can make use of it, if it helps you, use it.
Yeah, I would rather give my body all the resources it needs. If it doesn't need them, it can get rid of them. Yes. But I would rather have too much and decide to get rid of it than not have enough and be struggling all the time.
And the other big thing is a lot of people, especially during the scare, the pandemics, all that stuff, people take a lot of vitamin C, or some amount of vitamin C. And we'll talk about vitamin C, which is very, very important as well. You cannot take vitamin C without a B complex. It's a cofactor. It requires that. So you take a huge amount of vitamin C to fight an infection or to boost your immunity, you burn out the energy. Now you're expecting the car, so to speak, another analogy, to drive really well now that you're putting additives, but you don't have any fuel. What are you doing?
Yeah, those little.
That's the thing. You got to have a B complex, and that's the basic energy unit. Please.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because if you look at any food, pretty much any food that you pick is going to have some type of a B vitamin in it. They won't all have the same B vitamins, but that just tells you how important the B complex is. And there's also some B vitamins that we don't really, they got named and then they got unnamed and now they're getting renamed. So, there's some weird things with like choline and,
God, yeah. Actually, there's a lot of things. And by the way, in medical school, and if you ever hear the expression, talk to your doctor about this, please don't.
How many nutrition classes did you have in medical school?
0.
Interesting.
Big, fat 0.
Okay.
Yeah. So do not talk to your doctor about nutrition unless your doctor is looking like they are interested in nutrition. It's an interesting concept. I had a preceptor back in medical school when I was going through the process, and he was telling everybody to quit smoking. And we were shadowing, and the guy was basically about 300 pounds, 5'8", and he had a pack of cigarettes hidden not very well in his pocket.
It's hard to take advice.
It's hard to take advice
when you don't feel like they're following their own advice.
So if the doctor is not trained, they have no idea what they're talking about. If it doesn't make any sense to you, guess what? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The truth is the truth.
Yeah. Well, I think that our audience, I think they're very discerning. They know.
Yeah. There's a difference between the head and the heart. In your heart, and I'm just going to say it this way, this is where the truth is. And I know this is a little aside here, but if you want to know what the truth is, you will know that it feels right. It's a gut feeling. It's the opposite is the knot in the stomach. It's like just something just doesn't seem appropriate. So you got to trust those. Another little aside: brain, gut, the brain. What we think, how we think, depends on how we brought up, the programming, what tools we have. We'll talk about that too as well. But the other thing that is actually essential here, and I'm glad we're spending the time, is mental and emotional. Mm-hmm. Mental and emotional.
Well, I was going to kind of go back to what you were saying. Trust your gut, brain, mind, body connection. That's all very much there. And also, if you're just a person that's not quite there yet, but you're very in tune with just the rational, logical side of that, if you want to be fit, you do what fit people do. If you want to be rich, you do what rich people do. It's very simple. So you find someone that
fits function.
There you go.
Perfect. Exactly. Yeah. So, let's continue.
Okay. And I had one other nutrient on there, and that was vitamin D. Yes. So sometimes people, when they're feeling fatigued or don't have energy, it can also be a vitamin vitamin D, DB, gosh, okay.
D as in David. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Vitamin D deficiency. And that's pretty common too, because
Yes.
most of us spend our time indoors. We don't go out in the sunlight. When we do, we slather on all kinds of sunscreen, so we're not getting that vitamin D from the sun. And if we're not eating fatty fish or egg yolks or things like that, we're probably going to be deficient. And that can also play a role in energy, because that also, again, is helping our mitochondria use oxygen and get power to our muscles.
And that's another essential nutrient. So if I were to summarize on the physiological terms, the things that support and supply the body with energy, and I'm just keeping it real simple, you really need the very basics. And the very basics are, you got to have a good B complex. If it's not 25 to 50 milligrams of most B, in other words, I'm not just talking about B12, which we just differentiated.
Sure, that was just one of the vitamins.
B1, B2, B6, B9, so on. I mean, the entire energy complex. If you're not getting that, consider Dr. Shealy Essentials. 2 of those will give you 25, and then 4 will give you 50 milligrams. So basically, if I ever need more energy, I'm in the emergency room, or I'm having a hard weekend, I'll take 4. If I am okay, if I'm resting, I'll take 2.
Again, because stress also can deplete nutrient supply, so that's something to keep in mind.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. When you're on vacation, your needs are different than when you're going through a very intense period. So another thing, and I guess we're just going to keep on going. The difference in this show is that there's a game going on. I think we should have mentioned something, it's not gonna end in any near future. So I hope people are enjoying the game. But at the same time, we're not able to be on the radio proper. So we're just gonna do this Facebook, YouTube, and hopefully people will catch up. Let's talk about mental and emotional and the self-control regulation, because that's another type of energy, isn't it?
And that's definitely your area of expertise as far as like the biogenics and
self-regulation. Another key word that has come to my mind, and it just literally occurred to me. This is what it is. How do I summarize, in essence, in one word? I asked myself that question for about 7 years ago. What it is that I do, what it is that I am. And I was having hard times doing that, because there's all sorts of labels and adjectives, and so you strip all of that falsehood away, or if it's helpful, great, use it. If it's not, let it go. And the bottom line is, the short of it is the word mastery. Mastery. And what I'm talking about in mastery is this: mastery over the physical body, mastery over the mental and emotional, mastery over the patterns of exercise, healthy lifestyle. We can talk a lot more about that: nutrition, activity, weight, stress management. We talk about stress management. There's something in 1930s and 40s. There was a tremendous amount of research, and eventually Dr. Selye published thousands upon thousands in that time period of literally. It's a huge book with thousands of studies, basically, or people in the study. Stress, gas, general adaptation syndrome.
So GAS stands for General Adaptation Syndrome. Okay.
Yes. Acutely is going to save our life.
Right.
Visualize this. You're crossing the street. Somebody's going crossing the red light. You need that energy to get the hell out of the way. In other words, use that energy. Use that heartbeat. You have it for a reason. If you're in the fight of your life, use it. If you're in a situation where you have to physically survive or otherwise, do whatever you got to do. What happens when you are done with that? Most people don't know how to let go. Most people don't know how to relax, how to reset.
Well, and I think a lot of people just live those type of stressors now have been replaced with constant ongoing low grade stressors that never let you out of that flight or fight.
And Thank you for mentioning that. And Rachel, I'm sure you see that in your coaching practice.
I do.
I want to throw in a little example, but then please take on
go
over.
ahead. Yeah.
And I hate to say this, because I hate cruelty to animals or cruelty to anything whatsoever. It's just not right. But I don't know how true this is, but the concept of a frog, if you put a frog into boiling water, it's going to jump out. It doesn't like it.
Yeah.
You put a frog into, say, lukewarm, You heat it gently. In other words, you cook it gradually. Not no sudden movements, just ongoing, steady, continuous pressure. That frog is gonna boil to death before it realizes it cannot move.
I don't know. So,
So what analogy? Humans.
yeah, yeah.
There you go.
So
Chronic stress versus acute and sudden
and
stress.
sometimes people don't even realize how self-inflicted that is, because
Yes.
one thing I see, and this is in a little bit different space, but over exercisers.
Please.
So people that are training too hard, that have a goal, they're very disciplined, but there's a dark side to that as well, because when you overtrain, all you've done is put your body under constant stress. The cortisol is flowing all the time, and basically what you've done is you've set yourself back. So we do need to, the nervous system needs to be able to calm down at some point.
100%. How do you self-regulate? How does one achieve control over their life, over their control center? Most of us are not in control of the control center, are we?
Right.
We have no idea what the control center is. We follow the news. We follow the external stuff. We literally are at the mercy of whatever is outside. I got bad news for you, for everyone out there, including myself. The outside stuff is getting worse.
Right. So you have to control the controllables.
You have to control the
that's your
controllables.
thoughts. And
What
yeah.
can we control? Rachel, let me ask you a question. What can you control? Can you control somebody else?
I can't control somebody else. I
Right.
can't control the weather. I can't control the color of that wall unless I own that wall.
That's right. That's right.
So, I mean, I can control me, and
And that's
I'm
the-
okay with that. That's a plenty to handle.
That is the key. That is absolutely the key. So, how do we learn self-control? We talked about autogenic training. The power of self-regulation. It's literally biofeedback. My arms and legs are heavy and warm. That's your vagal parasympathetic nervous system, relaxation. Opposite, what is a sensor? What are we looking for? Cold, clammy. I used to have that all the time in the emergency room, 20 years. I used to say, hey, I was proud of the fact that my hands were cold.
Yeah.
Stress. I mean,
So in order
Yeah.
to create more energy, it almost feels counterintuitive for people, but in order to create more energy, you have to step back and relax. You have to just learn to calm everything down, slow it down, and then when you need the energy, it's there.
and then you
Yeah.
can use it properly,
Correct.
not waste it.
Right.
Um,
right.
And this is the concept. So other phrases in autogenic training, again, biofeedback, my heartbeat, checking in with the heartbeat. That's if your heartbeat is going very fast and almost getting ready for a fight or in the fight, and there is no fight, you're not really helping yourself. That's not a place of healing.
Maybe people need to know when that happens, a lot of physiological things happen as far as your body releasing more sugar into your blood.
Cortisol, the entire
from
cascade.
the cortisol, the epinephrine, the norepinephrine, all of
Yeah.
the things that are putting you into that mode are really, I mean, you don't want all that extra extra sugar floating
yeah.
around in your
Oh,
blood
God.
if you're not going to have your muscles use it.
And
Now it's just damaging things.
Now you're just basically going on a survival mode, and there's no need to
That's right.
survive.
Right.
You can thrive.
Yes.
In other words, you're literally taking yourself from a position of I can be okay, I can enjoy, to hey, I'm going to put myself in this very narrow box where I am just literally burning up all the resources, all the energy, and it takes a lot of energy to be in a fight.
And then
whether-
after that, you need time. You need time to recover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just joined. I was one of the docs over at USA Boxing. In other words, it was one of the events for kids. Just watching, make sure nobody gets any injuries. It was wonderful. Helping the community and just literally, I love the sport itself. Discipline, everything else. You can literally see people who, they can have technical skill, but if they get gassed out, in other words, if they burn up their energy in the first round, usually just less experienced folks,
Right.
they'll catch up. It's all right. I got faith in them. But it's not the punches that get them.
It's the energy.
It's the energy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's and in general, that's what it's all about. Life. Biogenics. 68 various exercises. Self-regulation. Literally getting to know your body, physical body, mental and emotional body. My thoughts, feeling, and emotions, forgiveness, tolerance, acceptance. How many of us carry energies that we need to have let go a long time ago? Can you think of something that you should have let go a long time ago and you're still carrying? Just think about it. I can name about 5 different things off the top of my head, even myself right now. Just saying.
And when you let go, then you don't have that weight holding you down, and then you feel more energetic.
And then you can do more things.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
can enjoy life.
Then you can put your energy into other places that are exactly enjoyable.
So energy is not just production energy in the cell. Energy is mental, emotional. It can be positive, it can be negative. And who is in control of that?
Right, that's right.
Who is in
And we can
control?
only
Are you in
ourselves.
control of your energy? Who is driving their battery? Right? Okay, yeah.
Okay, so if you were to tell me the 2 easy steps, right, that we can do, what like make it just really clear for everyone?
Real simple. Let's
Okay,
say
so step 1 is
step 1, get your basic supplements. Make sure in this crazy world, I can say it about 20 more times, polluted world, a world without nutrients, where the food is crap, and so on and so forth, get your supplementation. If you do nothing else, be complex and an equivalent if you don't choose to do Dr. Shealy's youth formula. Please.
Easy place to start.
Yes.
Because, obviously I come from a place where diet is of utmost importance.
Yes.
But that's that's a lifestyle change. That's gradual, but supplements,
easy.
You can start those tomorrow.
But think about supplements and keep it simple, keep it real, keep it keep it logical. If you're not going to organize it, you're not going to take it. If you've never taken pills before, or you just have a whole bunch of bottles here on it's not going to happen.
So if you wanted to talk about, so you're talking about simplifying, systemizing. I don't know if that's a word.
Yeah. We'll create a word.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So I don't know if people have ever heard of Atomic Habits, but this was a really great book in which they reference one of the first steps is, and I've heard you recommend this to your patients, is make it obvious.
Make it obvious.
So if you need to get a little box, put it on your counter. It's the first thing you see in the morning. So you make it obvious and you make it easy.
Make sure that you can't walk past it without saying, wow, I see it. I should be doing this. And if you don't, that's on you. Or it's on me if I don't. I can only talk about myself. It's again, no blame. Everybody's really good and you can be better, but it's up to you. All right. So
that was step 1.
Step 1, get organized.
Step 1,
real simple.
Supplements.
Yep.
Okay.
If you have, and I have people who come to me and say, I have no resources, I have no money, I live on a fixed income, there's very little I can do right now. I can't buy a device, I can't do this, I can't even go to the gym. I'm the membership. Simple. Dr. Shealy's youth formula and Dr. Shealy's essentials. You do that, that's a good foundation. Add to that vitamin D. And the bottle there is going to last a couple of years, literally. 50,000 units once a week. It's literally, that's small investment. And the other thing is magnesium. We talked about magnesium. Let's say you're 18 years old, you're a jock, you're healthy, you want to stay healthy. What do? You have no medical problems. You are absolutely fantastic. Take those things. You need that.
And I can tell you from my own kids when they were in athletics, because they, high school type things. And I coached a lot of runners. So one of the game changers is the magnesium. Yeah, the magnesium lotion. People will say, "Oh, my legs feel so much better now.
Now I can run.
Yeah.
Now I can move." Yeah.
Yeah.
Second most important thing, again, I'm talking about a basic minimum for a healthy young person who wants to stay healthy. And I'm not even talking about metabolic problems. I'm not talking about the protocols for other things. Just the basic health. Basic underlying structure. And of course, there's lifestyle, but the one thing I'm going to say that's not going to cost you a single thing, mastery. How expensive is mastery? Well, it used to be expensive. We had this course in biogenics. We actually used to run it out of the clinic before the pandemic or fake-demic, or however, again, I'll just keep it real simple here. Yeah. So what happened was we used to have groups and people, and we would train, literally a boot camp in our practice. You would sit, you would learn, you would spend the 2 weeks, you would go home, and you would have homework. And then within 2 to 3 months, and then up to a year is a lifestyle. That's when you're okay. Habits, 2 to 3 months, that's when things get easier. And it gets easier day by day. The first day is really real difficult. It's all new. And then it gets more familiar and then more comfortable.
Well, and something about creating habits that you're talking about is identity-based habits. So if you tell yourself, I am, and I go back to running because that's an easy fallback for me. But I am a boxer. Whatever you are, if you are telling yourself that, then those habits will fall around that identity. So that can help too.
And interestingly enough, speaking of boxers, you got a couple of boxers in the family.
Yes, I
So and you can tell. I mean, the personality, the physique, the lifestyle, it all centers around that.
And it's such a mental piece too, because you have to have a level of mind mastery and calmness to get into a ring with somebody and know hopefully you're going to be the one punching their lights out, but it could go the other way.
It could go the other way, so you got to be ready for anything, right?
Yeah.
So this is what we're talking about, mastery. It doesn't cost you anything. So now this course that used to be $8,000 in Real Intense is now the beautiful thing about it. It's available online. Small little pieces.
The biogenics course.
Biogenics.
Okay.
So you can literally take your whole entire life. Now it's a process. Now again, it's a 12-month process, hopefully, and beyond. But you can literally learn to regulate and be mindful of everything that's happening in your body with the capacity to send feedback to the body, including pain, including function, including enhancing performance, including energy, including everything. And again, keeping it positive.
I mean, our thoughts control. I mean,
every thought is a prayer.
Yeah, Dr. Shealy knew what was up when he said that.
Oh God, yes. Speaking of Dr. Shealy, he is saying hello to everybody. I did want to say just again, he did have a medical appointment, unfortunately, at around this time, and we couldn't move that around, so he's not able to get to the radio, but he was feeling better. So, yeah. But so we can talk a little bit more. But Rachel, anything else you'd like to?
I mean, since our focus is energy, and I mean, basically just how to. I think sometimes people get a little wrapped up in, I have no energy to do these things, therefore I will not do them. And some people are really at a point where they can't. We have to get them healed a little bit more before they can do anything.
And this is what I'm running into, because a lot of my clients, not a lot, but at least some proportion, they have done exercise before.
Right.
They want to do exercise. They want to eat better. They just are not able to get off the couch.
Yeah, and that's that whole vicious cycle of if you're nutrient deficient,
right.
If you're eating things that make your blood sugar go up and down, because, I mean, not only will stress cause blood sugar to spike, but so, of course, will food. I mean, certain foods are going to have that effect. So trying to just figure out where do we start with that? Because like you said, a lot of them have already exercised. They were exercisers in the past, and then something, got derailed. And a lot of times people, when they get derailed, they just say, forget it, and throw in the towel. And it's like, something is always better than nothing.
But this is an interesting correlation. And I just, now that you said it, my brain just kind of went into this interesting mode. Conventional medicine doesn't really help much with that, does it? Let's say if you go to a conventional doc, let's say your primary care or specialist, and let's say you say, chief complaint, my energy is low.
They will tell you that is a normal part of aging. And I can attest that looking at my parents, that is untrue. They are 80 and 75.
Yes.
Most people can't keep up with them.
Exactly. Let's look at something even very obvious. If you, let's say an old car, which is not driving well, is it fair to say that the car is not driving well because it's old? Or is it better to say that the car is not driving well because it needs
some attention
stuff.
And it needs Yeah.
Have we seen old cars that drive
resources? And sometimes the first resource is fuel.
Exactly. Have we ever seen old cars that drive really well?
Yeah. Right.
Exactly. Classics. In other words, if you keep your engine, if you keep your energy, if you keep it clean.
And something I think should give people hope that feel like maybe that they're too far gone, or it's too late for them or something. I feel like it's really important to keep in mind that our cells are always turning over. We're a new person all the time. So
every 7 to 12 years, including brain and nerve cells and everything else.
Right. And some of them, like a red blood cell, I believe it's about 12 to 16 weeks. I'm like, already you can be, if you have high hemoglobin A1C or something.
Change it.
We can change it quickly depending on your level of dedication. But yes, you can always evolve to be where you want to be.
And it takes proactivity, though. It takes somebody who actually gets up and does something.
That is true.
Changes something. This
That
is the
is true.
difference between conventional and otherwise energy, medicine and healthcare. Conventional, it's very simple. You got pills, you got surgery, and if it falls outside of that, then you get sent to a head shrink, and then they have and that has nothing to do with the rest of your body. Is that really true? I would disagree with that. This is where the holism
And
really makes sense. Spirit, soul, mind, body. But please,
yeah, we get a lot of questions at the clinic about that
Yeah.
because by the time people come to us, they're a little bit frustrated.
Oh, they're very
So
frustrated.
they've been given the runaround. They've been getting answered, surgery pills. A
Yeah.
lot of times surgeries, more than one, still
Failed surgeries, failed pills.
Yes. And so, the question we get is, are you a functional clinic? And I mean, we say holistic because we understand the importance of the whole spectrum. But yes, are we functional? Of course, because we want to look at the root cause
And bring back the function.
Right.
But it's beyond that.
Yeah.
It's beyond that. What's the point of having function if you don't have a purpose? What's the purpose of having function if you don't understand why you're doing this for? If it doesn't give you meaning, pleasure, or in other words, you might be in the wrong forest. You could be functional doing absolutely wrong things.
And something else is we are spiritual beings that have come here to experience a physical world.
Yes.
And so maybe you need to figure out, like you said, what that is for you. It might not look what you thought it was. It could be something completely different, and you got to be open to that as well.
And nothing happens until you become in charge. You take charge, of the control center, right here. And it's interesting. I've seen, back to boxing. I've seen a few bouts where one of the contenders was younger, less experienced, didn't have the form, didn't have the style, but had the heart.
Oh yeah, sometimes that will carry a long way.
The other one was very good technically, but
Yeah.
he took a few hits and then he gave up.
Oh.
So it's not. There's more to us than, again, if you have a physical body, make the best of that physical body. The physical body is a vessel. This physical body to me is literally, I'm honored to be in this. I'm honored to have this. I'm honored to serve the purpose, whatever I came here to serve, which is, for me, it's being a doctor, holistic doctor, and doing this at this point in time. For me, this physical body is a vessel. It's not mine to abuse. It's not mine but it's mine to make the best utilization.
And
as a spirit, as a soul, and with a purpose and with a meaning and with intention.
Yeah. And you have the power, you personally have the power to create whatever whichever direction you want to go with that.
And this is exactly it. The other conversation that I have with my clients, which is a rather uncomfortable conversation, but I'm going to say it anyhow, because if anybody who's going to see me in clinic or otherwise, you're going to hear it. I don't hold back. In other words, whatever mess you've created in your life, whatever mess exists in your life, I'm not saying you're responsible for all the terrible things that happen since childhood and on, or keep happening from the external environment, but 90% of what happens in life is literally how we handle it, our response, our approach. You can have two absolutely different people in the same exact situation, and it's going to be two different outcomes.
Perception is everything.
Perception.
Yeah.
One is going to make the best of it, maybe even opportunity, create something of value, invent something big, or Dr. Shealy was presented with lots of problems in medical field.
Sure,
but
right.
he responded by becoming an inventor.
Right. He really created a whole another level.
So he said, hey, this stuff is not present. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to create it. And this is the foundation of where we are right now with holism and the real holistic doc. Mm-hmm. The other possibility is just to throw your hands up and to say, yeah, I got no power. You do that, you're done. Game over.
Yeah. The victim mentality will never serve you well.
No.
I can tell you just from my own personal, again, back to the running thing, but I tried to qualify for the Boston Marathon multiple times and ended up very frustrated. And I knew I had it. I knew I could physically, I had that athletic capability, but I could never, a marathon's a long time for crap to go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And so you can talk yourself into about any kind of bad idea, situation, whatever. But the one day it happened, I showed up, I pulled into the parking lot for the marathon. I was like, oh, today I'm going to do this. And it was just as soon as I had made that decision, it was there.
Yes.
But I mean, the power of the mind. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the thing is, you follow through.
Yeah. Well, yes.
And when you pulled
A
into
lot.
the parking lot, right, you didn't stop in the parking lot.
Yeah,
You went
that's
further,
true.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. So the follow through is
yeah.
absolutely important, but people need to know that they can start with a small follow through. That doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be a
Exactly.
marathon.
And the other word, by the way, I do want to say there's one word that I want to eradicate from the English in every language, literally, and it's the word try.
How about replace it with the word yet?
Yet. Okay, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Not yet. Yeah.
yeah. So if you have a goal and you just haven't done it yet,
Yeah.
you'll get there. You're in the process.
Yep.
It's happening. Yeah.
And I don't know if you can see this, but I'm gonna literally, try to, lift this bottle higher. I'm really trying. I'm trying my best. Well, I'm not doing. If I was doing, I would just do it.
You know what? Something I think people should know though, because this can be frustrating for them, is
Yeah.
sometimes they are really sincerely trying, but there's something they don't know.
Missing information, missing
Yes.
resources, missing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they
Gotcha.
can try and try and try, but until they go back and find that missing piece. And so they shouldn't be so hard on themselves because they need to figure out back to the drawing board. What don't we know?
Thank you. And I know we talk a lot of interesting things here. I had a therapy session with a client just last evening. Very powerful stuff. We have our personality, we have our ego, we have our entrained pathways, and that's the brain. That's who we think we are. That's our identity. Then there's a heart space. And the whole therapy, the entire session was all about seeing the same crappy situation, excuse the expression, from a heart space, not so much from a head space.
Perspective.
And perception. And when you bring love into it, incredible things happen. Incredible things happen. Imagine instead of cursing at your body part that's giving you trouble or being upset at it, saying, "I love my back. Yes, it's been broken. It's been put together with metal. It's still there to support me. It's still I love it." In other words,
and also I think,
and it's going to remind me what not to do if I do something that I'm not supposed to, and that's okay.
I think you just made me think of something really important because you
Please.
said that about, I love my back. But I think sometimes people get so focused on the issue with their back that they forget to be grateful. Like, my eyes work fine, my legs work okay.
Yes.
All the amazing things that are still going
How
well.
about counting the blessings?
Yeah. So gratitude.
What
Yeah.
about being alive?
Yeah.
Anybody ever have any near-death experiences? And unfortunately, a few too many. There's a Robin.
Oh,
you gotta.
okay. Robin's got a story.
I want to hear it at
Yeah.
some point. Yeah. There's one thing that I've learned, and again, there's an oh shit moment. Excuse the expression. Forgive the language, please. But what happens is you realize in an instant if this is it, what really matters. What's really important, and this is why part of the therapeutic techniques that I utilize. Instead of putting people in cars and having them crash, I don't like to do that. At high speeds.
There's a gentler way.
There's a gentler way. So let's do it this way. Let's approach this from another perspective, from the power of the mind, visualizing like the end of the journey. And the end of the journey is basically whatever you are personally best at. Or where are you going? If you don't like where you're going, change the path. That's all there is to it. Now, there's a lot more to this, but the bottom line is if you can visualize, you can see the direction, and it's the wrong direction, you got the power to change.
I will say I have sat in on some of the life optimization therapies that you do with patients, and they're very enlightening for the patient, I think, because it really shows them, I have the means and the power, and I know why this is, and I understand it from a different perspective, and now I can move forward with a healthier, more productive perspective.
And this is very different for each different person.
Yes.
There's not any given therapy that's the same as any other. But I'm going to say this: every single therapy has one thing in common, and that one thing is the missing piece is the person. It's not anything outside the person. The resources are there. We just have to see where they are, pull them out, and make sure that they're available. Be willing and ready to use it. Know that I'm okay. I'm enough. I am love. I'm loved. Healing is possible. It is something that we all can do, even in the worst case scenarios. Miracles happen. You have to know, you have to believe, you have to understand that you're more than your physical body. But yet we have to support the physical body. We have to support the cells. We have to give the nutrition, the basics. Now there's protocols. If you have metabolic syndrome, which further drains your energy down, there's another process. We had a radio show on the metabolic syndrome.
Yeah. Which can I capitalize on that
Please.
for a second? So I am actually doing my doctoral research on reversing metabolic syndrome. Yes. So if anybody is interested, we have several people already signed up to volunteer, but the more, the better, as much data as we can collect. So really quickly, metabolic syndrome is if you have a waist circumference over 35 inches female, 40 inches male, if you have high blood pressure, if you have dysregulated blood sugar, I'm forgetting something. There's
circumference, waist.
It said that blood pressure, blood sugar,
basically cholesterol, diabetes.
Thank you. So high LDL or low HDL cholesterol.
Yeah.
So that's several symptoms. You don't have to have them all. If you have 2 or 3 of those,
you qualify.
3 is the magic number. So if you qualify and you're interested and want to be a part of learning how to reverse that, just give us a call at the clinic.
Wonderful. And by the way, just and not just for research, but I'm literally, my goal is to fill up Rachel's schedule.
She's doing a very good job
with people who can benefit from our holistic coaching, because as part of my time, and again, it's a little easier to get in with Rachel than it is with me at this point. My wait times are about a couple of months now.
Yeah.
I can still make openings
close to December, so
it's possible to get openings in if it's necessary, but it's getting kind of tight. But Rachel is a wonderful resource. So it's please.
Nothing gives me greater joy than having people come in and say, I've lost this much weight and I feel so much better, or, my blood sugar has gone down. Or,
by the way, on the personal level, down another 5 pounds.
All right. But we gotta stop now.
and we increase the intensity of the workouts.
Well, we're
gonna talk about that later.
But
energy is wonderful. Okay. Well, I do want to mention briefly just a couple of things. I do want to say thank you to our supporters and wonderful people in town here. Spring Valley, great little store, lots of stuff, great service, and Dr. Shealy's favorite, mine as well. Spring Valley carry most of our stuff as well. Dr. Shealy's Bliss oils, essentials, youth formula, magnesium, lots of different things, and lots of other stuff too. And I do want to also mention that if you are not having good energy and if you are not eating your vegetables, make sure to get tart cherry juice concentrate in. It is a wonderful source of nutrients. It doesn't replace the need for fiber and doesn't replace the need for good nutrition, healthy nutrition. Still do that, please. But at the very least, you'll be able to supplement and support yourself with ORAX and the healthy things that keep you in place. So, do we have any questions, thoughts? Unless Rachel, of course, you got anything else on your mind, please.
No, I like to be succinct and clear for people. So I'm like, we just want them to know the 2 easy steps for more energy are. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah. The supplements. So the essentials, the youth, the vitamin D3 and the magnesium. And then of course, this is your area of expertise with the biogenics.
Yeah. Biogenics mastery. Truly become a master of your life. And if you're not interested in becoming a master, then, well, that's your choice. But I know what I like.
But see, we always have choice.
We always have choice. It's always on us, isn't it? Okay, do we have any questions?
We have a question. My husband's homocysteine levels are high. I was wondering if this was a B12 deficiency.
It can be related to B12, but there's usually inflammatory, there is metabolic. When I see that, I'm concerned about the cardiac risk factors. There's a lot of different things. Cholesterol is usually associated with that. It's literally one of the indicators of a full-blown metabolic syndrome. So if you're seeing that, if you don't have the full-blown metabolic syndrome, it's on the way.
Would you recommend he get tested for the?
I would absolutely recommend a full panel, and if you haven't, and if your doctor is not going to take care of that, or if not going to take it seriously or the right capacity, then please come on down and let's get some testing done. In other words, we need to know what's going on there in that system. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Another question is, how are you approaching long COVID and micro clots?
Yes, of course. So we're talking about, okay, the question is, how do we approach long COVID and microclots? So let's talk about not just COVID, but just the general category of similar type illnesses. What happens there? Well, people get sick, and the long-term effect is inflammation, number one. Number two, microvascular. In other words, microclots or sometimes even huge clots that can develop and can become life-threatening. The bottom line on that is, and this is if somebody is getting into that category, I will absolutely say first things first: intravenous vitamin C, intravenous ozone. Now, there's contraindications. Let me talk about what that is. Intravenous vitamin C, or Myers cocktails, but you have to know how much vitamin C, because just because somebody says Myers cocktail, it's a very variable process. You can have almost no vitamin C, or you can have a good amount. You also have to have a balanced composition with magnesium, with calcium, and well, B complex, other things we talked about. You don't just give vitamin C without B complex. You burn out the resources. So anyway, that's the right way to do the vitamin C, and that boosts the immune system and that cleans things up. Another thing that goes really well with that. Within the same week, let's say you do Monday, you do an ozone, or Monday you do a vitamin C. Let's say then the next few days, I recommend medical ozone. O3 molecule, the short of it for anyone who hasn't heard. This is not FDA approved, but again, this has been around for for over 100 years. Europe is a lot more familiar with this than US. The FDA has done a great job shutting down things otherwise. But it is here. It is here, and I want people to know about it. So medical ozone is an O3 molecule. O2 gets split up. It's done in an electrical device, becomes O3 for just a short time. It's a temporary free radical, but it's a free radical that goes after things that are not right in your body. Autoimmune things, clotting things, bacteria, viruses, stuff that doesn't belong there. The body cells are generally able to withstand the stress and the process. So you literally get to clean up, and then you return the blood into the body, and then you kind of pass it through the immune system, and then you get a jump start. So usually for that, the number of treatments I would recommend is anywhere between 3 and 5, depending on intensity, sometimes more, for each ozone and vitamin C. That's number one. Number two, everything we mentioned in terms of the supplements and autogenic training. You're going to need a lot more than that. There's a few other things that you would add to the regimen, including beta-1,3-glucan, which is another compound that is present in the youth formula to some degree, but not enough if you have that kind of a intensity. And the other agent is astaxanthin, Astaxanthine. I'm finally able to spell it. Okay, I did a lot of practice. So 20 milligrams, and it's a great antioxidant. Again, it enhances things. So that can help. That can help a lot. There's a few other agents. Stress management is the key there, because it messes with the brain. So getting the entire thing inflammation. Also throw in some turmeric, a little zinc, quercetin with zinc. There's a few compounds that are very helpful. I hope I addressed that.
Yeah, I was just thinking if I don't know if they're local or not, but if
Yeah.
they can come into the clinic, they can see some of the before and after of the blood cells under the dark field
Microscopy.
Yeah, thanks. And see how they look after treatment.
And it's incredible. You can actually, I do this generally once a week if I get a chance. If I don't get a chance, if we were booked up, I defer to patients. So I mean, it's at least a couple of times a month. But what happens is I feel fantastic, and you can even see the color change in the blood. Especially after I come back from a long weekend in the emergency room, I'm exposed to everything. People cough on me, sneeze on me. Some people try to hit me. I'm just saying, it's all kinds of stuff. We've had all sorts of interesting experiences in the ER setting. But the bottom line is just when I leave the hospital, I clean out my body externally so I don't bring anything back. And then the more important thing is that the first thing before I see anybody else, I get into the clinic, I get into that chair, and our wonderful nurses get me through the ozone and the vitamin C. And I feel great. All right. Do we have any questions otherwise? Yeah.
Just one more.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a two-part question.
Of course. Yeah.
Is there another good way to get magnesium other than Dr. Shealy's lotion And what are the benefits of magnesium taurate?
Mm-hmm. Wonderful question. Some forms of magnesium are better than others, and I do believe taurate is one of the better ones out there. It does not, to my understanding, do the following as the lotion does, magnesium chloride. And this is what Dr. Shealy has done. You're not getting the benefit of the DHEA 60% elevation, anti-stress wellness hormone. You also have to pass through the liver. Anything that goes through the mouth generally passes through the liver. So there's a lot of wastage. And then the other thing is magnesium is, in certain forms, is better absorbed than others, but a lot of it is wasted, a lot. So if you really need to bring up your magnesium level fast, either intravenous or topical. Now, in the long term, can you get enough through other sources? Yes, but there's some wastage. I'm just going to say that. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
That is it. No questions.
Well, Rachel, I think we've had an interesting exchange. Anything else on your mind, please?
I think that we've covered it all. If you want more energy, give your body what it needs. There you go.
Yep. Just do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure, Robin. Thank you again for having us here. It's you're a very gracious host. If there's anything else out there, any questions, any thoughts, please feel free to communicate with us. And please continue to send your love, blessings, and healing intentions to Dr. Shealy. He seems to be responding to that kind of energy, and it's wonderful. So please keep on doing that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next week.